go. Okay, so good evening, everyone, and welcome to our monthly GCD. For those of you who don't know, GCD stands for Game Changer Discussions. And what we do in these sessions, it's a free session that you can invite anyone that you know, anyone that you think would benefit from learning a little bit more about finance, getting some tips and tricks. You can invite anyone to come and view this. Like I said, the link will also be available on our Facebook page and on our YouTube channel. So you're welcome to share it with as many people as you can. So the topic for this evening, and going into this silly season that we are going into, the topic for this evening will be how to shop intelligently. Let me just do this. Hold on, I'm just changing the view. So how to shop intelligently so that you don't overspend over Christmas. I think all of us have had this experience that we overspend on Christmas and then January happens and it becomes the longest month in the history of the world. So how do we make sure that we don't overspend, especially after the year that we've had? This 2020 year that we've had has been terrible. So how do we make sure that we don't overspend? Also, what's happening soon is Black Friday, and that's another thing that tends to make people overspend and go put things on their credit card that they don't need or don't need to spend money on. So let's first start with some tips surrounding Black Friday. So the first thing that I want to tell you or want to suggest is, I'm not saying don't buy things on Black Friday. What I do say is don't buy things without being prepared on Black Friday. What I mean with that is, first and foremost, sit beforehand and make a list of the things that you are looking to buy for presents or things that you are going to buy in any case. So get a budget, make a list of these things. Then go and check the prices before Black Friday comes around so that you have a base price to work on, so that you can go, listen, this television is usually 2,300 Rand. So that you don't get to Black Friday and they have this massive sale and massive boards on, and it's actually 2,499 instead of 2,399 that you had beforehand. So have a base price, because remember, they will put these big boards on. They will make as if it's this fantastic discount that it might not be. So that's the first thing. Be prepared for your Black Friday. The second thing is, what I would suggest is, do not go to the shops. If you want to do Black Friday shopping, try and shop online as much as possible. And there's a couple of reasons for that. The first reason for that is the fact that once you get into a shop, the temptation is all around you the whole time. Oh, they have this at 50% off. Oh, gee, they have this at only 80% of what it usually costs. Where if you shop online, you tend to look at what you need to buy and order that and get it over and done with. So that's the first reason. The second reason, if you go, why I would say don't shop, go to the shops, is the time that it takes. Remember, with Black Friday, when you get into shops where usually you'll take 10 minutes in the queue or 2 minutes in the queue, you might take 20 minutes in a queue because everybody's in those stores. And guys, that time is money. If your normal shopping is going to take you an hour and your Black Friday shopping is going to take you 3 hours, that is 2 hours worth of money that you are losing. So go and work out, what do you earn per hour? And then multiply that by 2 and add that to the Black Friday shopping, and you might see that it's actually costing you more for these specials than what you're actually saving on it. So that's the second thing, is try and shop online as much as possible. If you have to go out, limit your trips and limit the stops that you make. So prepare beforehand. Say, for example, I'm going to go to Cradlestone, is close to me. I'm going to go there once. And I'm going to get from this store, this store, this store, go in, get what you need and come out. The moment you do multiple stops, the moment you do multiple trips to shops for Black Friday, again, you have these huge temptation to see something that you suddenly realize you can't live without and then overspend. Okay. The fourth thing is, try not to go overboard with your Christmas gifts. Guys, I think we're in a society that exaggerates the importance of the gifts that we give over Christmas. And I know it's exciting to give a nice gift. It's exciting to give something to somebody else that makes them smile. But I want to ask you a question on this point. Think quickly and see how quickly you can get the answer. What did you get last year for Christmas? The second question is, what did you give your loved ones for Christmas last year? Now, you see suddenly how difficult it becomes to remember these things. When I was preparing for this talk, I thought to myself, what did I get for Christmas last year? And I had to really think about it until I figured out what it was. And then I thought, okay, what did I get my kids? What did I get my mom? What did I get my loved ones? And I had to really think about it. So I promise you, if you can barely remember what you got last Christmas, most people that you've given gifts to can barely remember what they got last Christmas. So it is about the season. It's about the family time. It's about all of those things. It's not so much about the gifts. We need to make sure that we don't go overboard with these gifts. As long as it's a well thought out gift, people will appreciate it. And 3 months later, they would have forgotten what it was. So that's just how life works. Okay. Another thing I always suggest to people now, it's a little bit too late for this year, but this might be something that you want to really focus on next year. And it's something that I've been doing for a couple of years already, is South Africans are obsessed with loyalty points. We have loyalty cards for every store you can think of. And it's not quite as big a deal in other countries as it is in South Africa. We really go nuts with loyalty points. So what I do and what I suggest people do is don't use your loyalty points the whole year. Why are you going to spend that loyalty points? Save them up until December, see how many you have, and then use your loyalty points to buy your Christmas gifts with. Instead of going to Dis-Chem, seeing there's 200 Rand on your loyalty points and just saying, ach yeah, let's use that today, because then it's no real value to it. To give you an idea, last year, 2/3 of my Christmas presents was bought with my eBucks through FNB. 2/3 of my Christmas presents. So that means I didn't spend that money from cash flow. It was just money that I got throughout the year that built up for me to buy those Christmas presents. So really try and save your loyalty points. We tend to spend these things without thinking. We don't really realize the value. If you're just standing in front of the queue, they tell you you've got some and you say, yes, let's do that, because there's no value to it. So save it and use it for the end of the year. And especially like eBucks, for example, you've got takealot.com, which is the biggest online store in South Africa. And with eBucks, you can buy on Takealot. And if you combine preparing your eBucks and Takealot online, then over Black Friday, you can get some great deals if you're prepared properly. And then you don't have to drive into the stores to go and do it. Okay, another thing I always suggest to people is have a proper shopping list. It's preferably something that you can use on your phone, because all of us has our phones with us. Now, the app that I use and my family uses is an app called Bring. So you can just go onto the App Store or the Play Store and download that app. What Bring is, it's an online shopping app or shopping list app where everybody in the family can be linked to the one shopping list. So your wife, your kids can add things to the shopping list as they run out at home. And then when you go to the store, you just buy what's on that shopping list. My family knows if I go to the store and it's not on Bring, it's not coming home. So if I come home and they say, oh, well, there was no butter left at home, they say, well, it wasn't on Bring, so it's not that important. They have to put it on Bring. And once you get that discipline of saying that you are only going to buy what's on Bring, firstly, they will very quickly realize that they have to put it on. And secondly, you will stop buying unnecessary things, because that is where a lot of our cash flow goes. We go to the store for bread, milk, eggs, and butter, and we come back with 2 bags of chips, with Oros, with cold drink, with chocolates, and everything else. So we overspend because we didn't need cheese, but we see that Checkers has 2 cheeses for the price of 1 or something, and then we buy that. And then we come back with 100, 200, 300 rands worth of extra things. So once you have a shopping app like that, you focus on and be disciplined enough to say, I buy what's on the shopping app. If it's not on, then it doesn't get bought. It gets bought the next time if somebody puts it on the app. Okay, another simple tip is, if you do go shopping for Christmas, eat before you go to shop. Because you think about it, you take your kids shopping, you, your husband, or you and your wife and your 2 kids go shopping, and half an hour into the shopping trip, what happens? We're hungry. And then you stop at Wimpy because it's not that expensive, but again, it's costing you 600, 500 rand for that trip, just for the food. So if you eat before you go, take a bag with some cold drink in, you don't have to spend that extra 100, 200, 300 rand for the trip just on food. So make sure you eat before you go, and have the kids eat something before they go. Another thing over Christmas that we tend to overspend on is, especially if you do the stay-at-home Christmas vacation, is plan your festive days in advance. Plan your activities in advance so that you can sit with your days that you have off and look at different activities that you can do with your family or do with your kids, and plan it in advance, instead of waking up one morning, the kids moaning, not knowing what you're going to do. You get annoyed, and on the fly you decide, and as an impulse, we're going to take everybody to the movies, or we're going to take everybody to Happy Island, and suddenly it's an extra 600 rand that you've spent that you haven't planned for. If you plan your week or your holiday in advance, you'll know not to overspend, or you'll be sure that you don't overspend. And secondly, you will enjoy it more, because you will actually wake up in the morning with a plan for the day, instead of just waking up, floating around the whole morning, and by about 12, everybody wants to go do something and nobody knows what to do. So then you go to the shops to go walk around there, which means you overspend at the shops. So all of that escalates. So make sure that you do your planning, because it will be more enjoyable for you and your family as well. Okay, the next one is, instead of just buying gifts for everyone, why not look, and no, this is a suggestion that we hear every year. Why don't make personalized gifts for somebody, specifically things that they can use? I must be honest with you guys, is some of my gifts that I've received from my children that has meant the most to me are things that they made themselves, that's in my bar, in my house. Small things that they've made themselves. The things that they bought me that I can play with or use with for other things or at work, that doesn't make such a big difference, but that personalized gift does mean a whole lot more, and I remember about it much longer than something that was just bought and given to me. So think about making those personalized gifts for one another. Another thing that is very important over this festive season is to sit with your family and have a specialized budget meeting with the family. So it's almost like an interim budget that the Minister of Finance has with the country. You need to have an interim budget for the family as the Minister of Finance. Guys, one of the biggest problems over festive season is the family has no idea what's going on in the financial situation, because we don't talk to one another. We sort of have an idea and then we just on the fly decide on things. So sit with your family, look at your budget and say, okay, so this is what we've got available from all the money that we have gotten in. This is what we have available to spend for the Christmas holidays. How are we going to spend this? And if there's more that you spend more to gifts, then there's going to be less for activities. If you want to do more activities, there will be less for gifts. And through that, you will teach your children to make decisions better as well, and to understand that the one thing actually affects the other thing. It doesn't stand in isolation. It doesn't mean that because they get a 2,000 Rand bicycle that they can still go to Happy Island 4 times over Christmas. The one has an effect on the other one so that they can understand the relationship money has towards their decision making and what they experience. So have that budget meeting, not just between you and your wife or you and your partner, but get your children involved as well. Let them understand how these things work and what you actually have available for Christmas. Okay, then another one that might be something that's a little bit too late now, but something that I definitely think you can start looking at in 2021, and that is to start planning your year in advance, around Christmas as well. We tend to start planning for Christmas in November, and that, to be honest, is too late. You need to start planning for Christmas the 26th of December. You need to start planning for Christmas the next year, so that you are already prepared for when this happens. And I know we all say we're going to do it, and when we don't. But if you're part of the coaching, if you have a coach working with you, tell your coach this is what you want to do, and he will or she will help you to start planning in advance. What you could do is make a list of the people that you would like to buy gifts for Christmas next year, and see if you can buy one gift every month. Because then it's split over a 12-month period, which means by the time Christmas comes, you would not feel that cash flow drain as much as you would if you had to buy everything all at once. For big families, some people believe in it's only the mother, father, brother, and the kids that get together for Christmas. Some families believe everybody in the whole family needs to get together, and then everybody buys everybody gifts. For those kind of things, an old secret and something that is a good strategy is to use this secret Santa principle for families, where you talk to the families, everybody chooses a person or they draw a person or something, and you just buy a gift for one person, instead of everybody trying to buy a gift for everybody else. And that comes back again to communication. Guys, there's no shame in saying to the family, listen, guys, this is my situation. This was 2020. We only have a budget for X, Y, and Z. What I suggest we do is X, Y, and Z. Instead of buying gifts for everybody, let's do a secret Santa kind of thing. But we're so afraid to really openly talk to the rest of the family about these things because we don't want to make anybody feel like they're not important or whatever the case may be. So I think you'll see that when you do become open and you do actually communicate to people about the situation, most people will say, we're in exactly the same situation. It will actually suit us better. But what do? We keep quiet until Christmas, and then we feel obliged to buy for everybody. And then the one person who hasn't bought for everybody, everybody's upset with them because they bought them a gift and they didn't get a gift. And then it's a whole thing. So communicating your family as well so that we can plan this and work together. Okay, then number 15 on my list. This is a big one and this is a challenge. The challenge is over Christmas, no takeaways. For the whole Christmas, no takeaways. See how far you can get with that, firstly. Secondly, you know the amount of money we spend on takeaways over the festive season, because we feel that, especially the moms that's mostly in charge of making dinner, they feel like, oh, I'm working every single day. I make dinner. I'm going to also have a little bit of a holiday over Christmas. So you're going to go buy food. What we do in our family is we've got a list, and everybody has an evening that they are in charge of making dinner for the evening. So they have to plan it, they have to make it, and somebody else is in charge of cleaning the kitchen for that evening. So have that kind of list. And even if your children aren't that big yet, at least they can start working on it and you can help them, but they can also be involved. It's a great way for them to learn to look after themselves in the future as well. But guys, try cut as much as possible of your takeaway spending. I mean, you go and look at for a family of 4, what it costs to go to KFC, for example, and get everybody fed for a family of 4. And then when everybody's eaten, there's nothing left. You take that amount, you make food for a family of 4, and they'll eat for 3 days on the leftovers on that food. So we tend to look at it and say, yeah, but if I go to Checkers and I buy things to make dinner, it's going to cost me the same as what it's going to cost me when I go to KFC. But what we forget is that when KFC is done. When you make dinner with that same amount of money, you have food for 2-3 days. You've got much more food for what you've actually paid. Another thing, and this is something I learned when I was a rep years and years ago, when we had to go on field trips. So we were 5 guys in a car and we had to go somewhere in South Africa for a week. And then 5 guys had to look after themselves on a very, very limited budget. So what we did is we basically planned our menu for the week. Once we planned our menu, so we knew exactly Monday morning, this is what we're going to have. Monday evening, this is what we're going to have. Tuesday, and we go through the whole week. Once we've written down the menu, we then made a list of ingredients that we need to fill that menu. And you'll see some of them overlaps. So we then make that list and then we go shopping for those ingredients. Because what that does is it makes it simpler for you to know what to make to eat. And secondly, you don't double buy things. You don't buy something and then you buy another thing. So you buy a bigger one that costs you less because you know you're going to use eggs Monday morning, Tuesday morning, and Thursday morning, for example. So plan your weekly menu and then create your shopping list according to that. Number 18. Use cash as far as you can. So I know this sounds like a silly thing, but I want you guys to understand or to get to know the feeling, how different it is in your mind when you buy something by using cash against when you buy something using your credit card. Banks issue credit cards and make it easier for us to spend money through credit cards, through debit cards, through all of these systems, through Zapper, through all of this, because the further they remove you from the actual act of spending, the easier it is for you to spend. So do yourself a favor, take one day and go buy groceries, but go draw the cash to buy the groceries and just experience the difference of handling out that cash against using the card. Now, I know about security and all of that, so I'm not saying walk around with 10,000 Rand cash in your pocket the whole time, but try it and just see the difference in your mental state when you pay cash for something instead of paying with a credit card. So there's again a very well-known way of doing a budget for gifts, for example. It's called the envelope method. So what you do is you decide on a budget for each person that you want to buy a gift for, and then you take the cash for that present and you put it in an envelope. And when you go buy that present for that person, you actually pay it from that envelope's cash. And again, you will see the difference. Suddenly, when you start buying cash, you're going to think twice on the amount that you spend for gifts for certain people, because it's a different experience to pay it in cash than it is to just swipe the card. Okay. The last one is something that might help for some people. Some people might think it is silly, but it's something to think about. So instead of just randomly going to try and figure out what to buy your loved ones, when you do your mini budget planning, you could give every person a budget of what they have available for a Christmas gift. And then they need to give you a Christmas wish list of 5 or 6 things that will fall within that budget that they would really like to get for Christmas. And then that makes it easier for you to know that it's in that budget and what you can get for them that they would really like. So again, some people will buy into something like that. Other people want to do the whole massive surprise thing. But it is something that does help, especially if you really fit that into a budget. Guys, I think we're going into one of the most difficult Christmases we've had in our lifetimes probably. It's not going to be an easy Christmas for most people. And I think we need to get into the habit of not going overboard on Christmas and really start planning up front so that we don't overspend, don't get ourselves in trouble, so that the rest of the year, the whole 2021, we're just trying to recover from what we did in December. It is not worth it. It's not worth paying off December for the whole year and then just go back into debt again. Okay, guys, thank you for joining me. I hope there was a few ideas that you can use. And like I said, this will be on our YouTube channel. So if you want to share this with people to give them some ideas, you are welcome to share it far and wide. Thank you very much for joining me. And yeah, I'll see you again next month.